Business Centre as normal. I'm here today live from the pod with Dave from LeapFrog.
Hi there.
He's a fantastic fellow to be having here. And we're looking forward to getting into some questions. So if you've got anything that you want to ask, now's the time to type it, and we'll get asking Dave about cybersecurity. Dave, all right, so cybersecurity, really, tell me, why should I care?
Well, as with most risks in business, it's something which you do need to consider because there's a lot of people out there at the moment who are trying to penetrate your business, but for malicious, nefarious reasons.
Yeah.
They want to steal your data, they want to steal your credit card information, they want to cause disruption, they want to hold you to ransom.
Right, okay, so as a small business in Albany or in the Great Southern, what's my chances? Let's be honest.
Fairly high, yeah, because we're a target market for the cyber criminals because we haven't got the money and the financial backing to be able to employ security specialists and security teams and high-end hardware to protect us from certain types of attacks. So we are one of the main targets for these criminals, and we see that through our business more than we would like to, but it's a fact.
Okay. Okay. So what does it mean to small business owners?
Well, I'll give you an example. One of the main types of attack is the business email compromise, where an email either gets hacked, so people can access your emails, and they'll start, say, tweaking invoices that you're sending out to have different bank account details.
Wait. They're doing what now?
They will, if they get access to your email inbox,
yeah,
either through guessing your password or just a weak password. We've seen instances of this for the last few years where the malicious actor will get hold of your inbox. They might start an interaction with one of your clients or one of your suppliers. They will have the ability to intercept emails, for example, a PDF invoice.
Yeah, okay.
And then they will change the account number in the BSB.
Mm-hmm.
So when the invoice comes to be settled, it gets paid to the wrong account.
Right, so I just want to get this right and just get this right for everybody as well. So you got a PDF which you send your invoice on because then your customer can't adjust it, so that's awesome.
But they can.
But they shouldn't be able to, yes, because that's why you do it as a PDF.
Yeah.
So you send it out, they receive it, and in between that stage, somebody is looped in.
Well, if they've hacked your email,
yeah,
and they've guessed your password, which does happen, then they basically can masquerade as you. You might not even be aware they're having this communication with your supplier or with your client.
Right. Okay. Okay. So they could be sending invoices and your name, yes, as well. Yeah. So you've got two problems there. Is that they could be sending them that, or they could be intercepting your email, changing the BSB and the account number, and then still forwarding on. Yeah. So if I'm sending you an invoice and Mr. Joe Bugger in the middle here is changing your account number, it gets to you and you go, oh, I'll just pay that account number, no problem.
Absolutely. So to resolve that sort of issue, what people should be really doing is educating their staff to make them aware that if something odd happens, like an unannounced change of bank account details, just pick the phone up and ring the person that you're going to pay and saying, is this right that you've changed your bank account details?
Yeah.
And that stops this from happening.
Yeah, and I guess as well, we do that here automatically, but also if there's somebody new who isn't in our normal biller accounts, then we just pick up the phone. Because how hard is it to pick up the phone and just check rather than just pay it?
Yeah, I had an instance last year where it was a regional organisation had paid a substantial amount. It was tens of thousands of dollars to a supplier, and their computer had been compromised. They had somebody had backdoor access to the computers. They were reading emails and sending emails out, and they actually instigated this particular felony.
Wow. Right, did they manage to get anything back? Or?
Not in that instance, because the time that elapsed was too great. So yeah. A more recent one, the company were onto it straight away. Mm-hmm. Contacted the ACSC, which is the Australian Cyber Securities Commission, government organisation, who advised them what to do, and then obviously the impact was lessened considerably.
Wow, that's amazing. So there you go, guys. Even if you're not going to keep listening, at least check the bank account details before you pay anybody. All right. So I've got some questions here. We've already covered about what cyber attack means. Dave, what are the common signs of cyber attacks?
There's obvious signs, like for example, if you get compromised with a ransomware, where you'll try and open up a file or a document on your computer, and you get this big sign comes up saying you need to pay us a ransom. So when that happens, somebody has managed to gain access to your computer through a virus or a security loophole, which can happen if you don't keep your systems up to date, with patches and updates.
Yeah.
So what happens is that they will encrypt all of your files, all of your data, and they want you to make payment. Now, whilst it's not, I believe, technically illegal to make payment, it's strongly advised that you don't make payment. There's only one real surefire way that you can resolve that issue, and that is to pull the network cable out of your computer so you're not connected to any other computers, because these ransomware, malware softwares can actually spread over your network and attack whole computer systems.
Okay, right.
Including servers and not just your own personal computer, or turn your computer off. And the next thing you've got to do is get somebody who knows what they're doing in to help you resolve the issue. But I would say almost 100% of the time, the only way to fully fix this is to rebuild your computer and restore a backup of your data.
Right, so you should be backing up your data though, straight away.
If you're not, you're almost committing the crime.
Yeah,
and the backups shouldn't just be onto a USB thumb drive that you leave plugged into the machine, because that can get encrypted as well. Yeah. You need to have it either cloud-based, password protected, or off-site.
Okay, now Dave and I were talking about something the other day that cloud-based storage, which I didn't know this. I thought cloud-based storage is you shoot everything up to the cloud and it stores up there, and it's like this magical place where everything stores, right? But Dave said to me the other day that isn't backed up. So you've actually got to back that up as well.
That's right. So if you're using OneDrive, for example, Microsoft don't offer the backup service on that product. What they do is they will hold a deleted file for a retention span of about 90 days, I think, and then that's removed.
Yeah.
But for example, if you are a victim of ransomware and your cloud files get encrypted, they will be, they will continue to be sort of retained in an encrypted format. If you want to restore files and they've been, they're on the versioning history of SharePoint, you can go through individually one at a time and restore them, but that's going to take you potentially days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you actually need is a third-party product which will enable you to just restore whole folders or file systems or program offices of your business's data. So
that sounds a little bit like confusing for a lot of people, and me included. So essentially, let's break it down. That I've got stuff on the cloud. You're saying to me, I need a third-party something or other, which is going to back that up.
Yes.
So that if I get attacked or I lose the cloud stuff, then at least it's sitting there and I can just whoop it up.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So that's see, I'm the guy who just makes it simple as possible. So we've asked about common signs of attack, which is great. What's the best way that you can protect, just the general person can protect themselves?
I would think for the sort of your average small business, SME, or one-man bands, the key things are to have your backups.
Yeah.
Make sure that you have strong passwords in place and change your passwords as frequently as you can. Mm-hmm. Don't just have password one. You can use password managers. They are mostly very safe. There have been a couple of instances where they've been compromised themselves, but that's very rare. They use a very strong form of encryption for you to be able to, you have a master password phrase, which you must only know. Yeah. If you lose it, you lose everything. You've got to start again.
Jeez. Yeah, okay, yeah.
But that means you can install an app on your phone or on your computer which will store all your passwords in an encrypted format, which makes it very hard for other people to guess. The other thing is even at home, just be aware that about clicking on links on websites. Don't click on links blindly from emails that you receive. So there's a basic premise with emails, for example: trust no one.
Yeah.
Even if your mother sends you an email with a link in.
Oh God, if my mum sends me anything on an email, I'm never trusting it.
No, but for example, there's a lot of people come to us and say we have issues, or somebody, the managing director of a company sent me this text saying I'm stuck. Could you transfer some money? Looks authentic. Looks like it's came from the correct mobile number, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I could send a text message as you
Wow.
from your number within 5 minutes, and nobody would be the wiser.
That's just
It's
that's
very easy. It's very easy to do, especially in the modern world of telecommunications, where you can just tell people which number you want to be.
Wow. So I always find that when we're looking at, and I'm always sending things through to you saying, does this look sus? Does this not look sus?
Yeah.
That checking the email, because we're getting ones here at the moment which is saying from the Albany Business Centre, but you look at it and then it's somebody ZZZ at Hotmail, and it's not our email.
Those are easier to spot because of that very obvious thing. But as with the number, I could actually, without having any understanding of your systems, I could send an email as manager at Albany Business Centre, and it would look like it came from you to the general person, to the layman who's not aware of it. In a corporate environment, there's ways to actually identify that somebody's doing that and phishing, your email address.
Yeah.
But for small businesses or sole traders, it's very difficult to sort of pick that up. Which is why you've got to have your antivirus software installed.
Okay.
With your antivirus software, I always say you should buy a software. Don't go for any of the free ones. They're free for a reason. They're not as fully functional. They want you to upgrade to the paid one. Always go for a paid one. I'm completely and utterly sort of agnostic to which one you use, but as long as it's a paid antivirus software.
And some are better than the other, better than others in different things, and some are also better than others. So you might have a Norton, for example, you might have a Bitdefender
or a Trend
or whatever. It doesn't matter which one. Some will be really, really good at some stuff and not so good at others, and vice versa. So it kind of washes out.
It depends who you talk to. There's a range of IT companies in the region. They all have their favourites.
Right. Okay. So you're saying that your antivirus software, absolutely. Checking the emails, and so don't click on any links at all, and also don't click on any links on websites. Well, within the website maybe, but you can check that at the bottom left-hand corner. If you hover over it, it will tell you where it's going to. Yeah. Which is more than likely the right place if it says it there. Yeah.
That's right. It's about educating yourself and your staff and just recognising the risks.
Yeah, okay. And then this is big for sole traders, because your home computer is often your work computer as well. So you've got to be doubly secure. So don't let people on your home computer start opening things without clicking.
Unfortunately, in that situation, people have often, their kids are using the computer as well, and you've got your MyOb or your Xero stuff, and you've got all your work files, your invoices, however you do it, your Word documents, your quotes. It doesn't take much for a child to come across a website which is malicious, and all it will take is them to click one thing. Your antivirus won't always pick up what these malicious websites are doing. It's just that, unfortunately, the antivirus companies are always one step behind the cyber criminals.
Of course.
So they have to sort of preempt what happens, but it's not a surefire way of guaranteeing that you're going to be 100% protected. But it only takes somebody to just say yes to a pop-up window because they're doing something else and distracted, and even I've done that.
We've all done it.
We all have. And next thing you know, you've got all these pop-ups on your computer trying to sell you stuff, or tell you that you've got problems, or telling you have a virus on your computer when you don't.
And and then it becomes this whole thing, and you're freaking out. And so essentially, common sense has got to override a lot of the stuff that you do. Antivirus software, and be careful on what you're clicking, or don't click on anything. And if somebody says to you, we have this all the time. We said it the other day about business renewals. So companies are sending these through, and they're not illegal to do it. But why would you pay for a company name renewal when you could just go straight to the ASIC website, and it doesn't cost you anything there, or the ABR website, or the ATO, whichever one, but it doesn't cost you that much. So these people are now going, click this, no problem. It's not illegal, but now you're paying for something you don't need.
That's a perfect example, because there's an organisation in Australia which is a legally operating business. if you had, for example, like our business, leapfrogsolutions.com.au, you know, we charge $39 for a 2-year domain renewal every 2 years.
Yeah.
What is happening that this company will send out a domain renewal for leapfrogsolutions.com, and you know, we're aware of that because we don't have that address.
Yeah.
But in larger organizations, you just get the bookkeeper or the person doing the accounts, and they will just say, okay, we need that, and they'll just pay it. But it's about, they're charging, you know, $200, $300, $400 to renew a domain that you don't actually own.
Yeah.
They'll register it for you.
Yeah, then they'll register it, but they own it.
Yeah.
Well, they've got all the passwords and everything for it, so they technically own it,
Yeah.
and you're paying for them to own it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just be careful, guys. All right, so I'm going to move on. How much of the add-ons that virus software companies keep pushing now, once you sign up for virus protection, is actually necessary? That's a good question, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's annoying sometimes. It depends which software you use. So the main thing is that the necessary stuff is your antivirus protection for yourself, your family, or business, the malware protection, and the firewall component, which basically stops people from breaking into your system.
Yeah.
All the other things like the ad blockers, the VPN, the password manager, the dark web monitoring, you know, they're nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that not all of them are necessary, but if you've got the budget for it, or if you're unsure about your level of security, it doesn't hurt to have them. Even things like just using a VPN, which is a virtual private network, which creates a secure encrypted link between you and a VPN service, say with like Norton's or McAfee.
Yeah.
And then you can do things like your internet banking, in the knowledge that the data that's being transmitted between you and the bank is fully encrypted.
Yeah, excellent.
So nobody can actually intercept that information.
Yeah. And I use a VPN at home when I'm searching stuff, so then people can't track me and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I just like the knowledge that then I'm not bombarded with ads that I don't want to see all the time.
Yeah.
So VPN can be rather handy, and they're not expensive either.
No, I'm saying that budget, most of these things are fairly cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Particularly for the consumer family packages where you'll be able to install it on 5 different or 10 different devices.
Yeah.
So you can cover the whole family.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. I've got a 3-part question here from somebody. Right, so this person has said, with the Medibank and Optus breaches, here's a couple of questions from a small business where computer stuff is all linked. So now we're talking about the home, private computer and business computer, and same as all small business, most small businesses are. Okay, so Medibank Optus breaches. Firstly, is it worth staying with them both now, as their security is going to be better than others because they've had these breaches?
You know, is it worth shutting the stable door after the horse is bolted? You know, there is. So the security flaws were identified.
Yeah.
So, for example, with Optus, it was an open API, application programmers interface, which enabled the malicious actor to access the systems without providing any credentials and got access to personal information.
Brilliant. So somebody left the back door open.
They left the back door open.
Excellent.
But it's been closed. All right. So moving is fine if you're not happy with the service provider.
Yeah.
I don't know how you moved from Medicare, but
Medibank.
Medibank.
Okay.
Medibank
private. Yeah. So, and I think that's really the case, is that now they've realised that there's these holes.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're going to be more secure now than potentially other people who are like, it didn't happen to us?
They're more secure than they were.
Yeah.
There's nobody is 100% guaranteed to be entirely secure.
Yeah.
So you can hedge your bets. It's down to your personal sort of experience with them. What I would say, and this sort of leads into the other question. Which we were
if you've been
asking
contacted by them and you're part of a larger data brief, what can you actually do? Because they're both no help.
Yeah. Okay. And my colleague fell victim to both of those attacks. He had accounts with both of them.
Yeah.
And in conversation before I came here, they indeed were very provided minimal information.
Yeah, very unhelpful.
So what I would suggest in that case is there is a government agency called Services Australia.
Okay, Services Australia.
Which is Services Australia sorry, I made a note of it. .gov.au. Yeah, sorry. So they have a step-by-step guide on what you should do depending on which organisation your data was compromised from.
Yeah.
and they'll even assist you with doing that. So things like if it was your Optus, they will, you can identify, they'll be able to help you identify what information was leaked and how to resolve it, the steps that you need to take to resolve that.
Okay. So they're the best people to get hold of because you get no help from whoever you've had the breach from. They're the people.
Yes.
You're getting no help.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's really helpful because I think a lot of people don't really know about that one. And the other one in regards to this is now I've had this data breach. How can I stop all the spam emails and phone calls I'm getting?
Okay, so there's a couple of things here. We'll do the emails first of all.
Yeah.
If you're a sole trader, there's not a great deal you can do other than have antivirus software which has got an email spam component which will integrate with your email client if you use, say, Microsoft Outlook.
What does that mean?
That means basically there's a little program sits as an add-in inside Microsoft Outlook, and it will identify spam and it will put them in a junk folder.
Right, so do you have to go onto Microsoft website?
No, you'd have to buy that from McAfee or Trend Micro.
Right.
But you'd have to buy the software package that has that feature.
Right, okay.
If you're an organisation who say you've got multiple staff and you've got multiple email addresses, I would strongly recommend using what's called a mail relay filter, which is a third-party product, which lives in the cloud, and your IT professional will be able to help you configure your emails so that all of your outgoing emails go through the mail relay server, and all of your inbound emails go to the mail relay server. The mail relay server takes care of the bulk of the spam, and then it will delete it and quarantine or flag as spam or stop all the malicious stuff going through.
So essentially you're putting a gatekeeper in place.
You're putting a gatekeeper in place, and they're very, very effective. Now, I had an instance last year where one of the managers of the company said, I'm sick of getting these spam messages, and I sat down with him and I showed him something like in the last 6 months the 900,000 spam messages that we'd actually blocked.
Wow.
And he was getting just one or two were getting through.
And so, he was fed up with one or two.
He didn't ask me the question again. So which is fine, but it's a bit of a game really, because you can tighten up your spam security, but at the same time you're going to stop genuine emails from coming through. So it's our role as an IT provider to help you sort of minimize the risk but keep you safe. So that's really
and I find that here. I find that here as well. We've got a really good security package for blocking a whole heap of spam emails coming through. But the odd one slips through to us. The one which gets me is that some go through to like an other box instead of a focus box, and I'm like, oh my god, Dad, I've got to do that one as well. It's just, but it's one of those things of doing business, right? We're going to do that. Well, what about the phone calls?
Okay, the phone call ones are a different kettle of fish. So at the moment, all telco providers in Australia have an obligation to reduce the number of spam phone calls that are coming through.
Yeah.
Both SMS and phone calls. So the people that actually make these calls will just use a random number generator almost to target blocks of mobile numbers or phone numbers, landlines as well. So that's why you probably find if you'll go through a phase where you'll get a lot of them and then none.
Yeah, okay,
so you've probably noticed that pattern yourself.
Yeah, I have, yeah. There's
not much point in actually just blocking these calls because you'll get a phone call, it might be the same person, but they use a different number every time. Okay. It's not a real number, it's you bring it back, it doesn't exist, but it's just, they want to send you a link or they want to tell you that, they're from NBN Co or they're from Telstra, and we really know they're not because these guys will never contact you. If you ever receive a phone call from NBN Co, it's not them.
It's not NBN. Same with Telstra, same with Optus, same with all of it, that nobody's ever contacted you, you've always got to contact them.
Yeah, well, that's not quite true because
but not out of the blue.
If you use Telstra, Optus, or Vodafone, you'll probably find that 6 months before your phone contract's up, you'll start getting phone calls and they'll be trying to upgrade you.
Yeah.
But so they will contact you in those circumstances. So there is an organisation, a government one called the ACMA, which is the Australian Communications and Media Authority, and they dictate to the telco providers the things that they need to do, the telco providers need to do to try and minimise this risk. You can do things on your phones which can be a bit of a nuisance, but you can do things like filter unknown callers or unknown numbers. But then you stand the risk of losing phone calls from people who maybe just don't want their number displayed.
Yeah, or somebody who's changed their number.
Or changed the number, or is not not in your contact list. So, you know, there are things you can do, but it's going to cause as many problems as it resolves, in my mind, unless you're getting heavily targeted.
If you're being heavily targeted, then contact ACMA and go, help. Like,
or somebody like you know, ourselves, who has a better understanding of how the system works.
Cool. Hope that answered that question. All right, I've got 2 questions left. I'm going to go with this one here, which is okay. How do I keep track of all the passwords that I've got in this plethora of passwords which I'm meant to keep, because I've got to have like number, digit, symbol, uppercase, lowercase, can't be the same as last time, can't be the same from one to another. How do I work this out? How do I keep it?
I would use a password manager. There's any number of them available. You have to pay for. There's even free versions, like LastPass has a free version. Bitwarden has a free version. The password one, there are probably hundreds of different password managers. Just do your research before signing up to one, so you know that you've got, you know, a suitable password manager.
Can you just pull them, essentially go to the App Store and you can have a look and they'll be in there, or do you have to go online and get them?
Both.
Both? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So easy way, App Store, have a look, have a search, and then Google them or whatever afterwards.
All of these password managers should, well, the ones that you choose should have an app to go on your phone, so app to go on your computer, your laptop, on your iPad, just so that your passwords are shared across your devices.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's a big deal as well, because then you can link that to two-factor
authentication.
Thank you, authentication. That's it, was
yeah.
So you have your password manager there, but also it's in your hand. So that's your password. It goes straight in, and then you get your SMS or whatever coming to you as well. And that's really important, the two-factor.
It's very important.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who don't like it, but you've got to have it.
It's much easier. You either get an SMS or a phone call, or you use an authenticator app just to put a 6-digit PIN in. But it basically makes your account almost impenetrable, so people can't, even if they know your password, they can't get in unless they've got your physical phone, for example, or your phone number.
Okay. So here you go. I'm going to wrap this up, but I do have one more question for you, which I'll ask in a second, because it's a bit of a big question. So cyber security, obviously really, really important for the various reasons I've been talking about. Make sure that your virus software is up to date, you're not clicking on any links. Two-factor authentication. There it is again. 2FA. Yeah, 2FA. And you should be a lot more secure than you were before. Back up your files as well. Now, last question. A lot of stuff in the press at the moment, and the media at the moment, about AI.
Yeah.
Okay, because obviously GP chat has been out, but now Google's about to release Bard as well, which is going to essentially take over from it. You can just see it coming, because it's Google versus Microsoft. It's going to be a great war there. AI, good or evil?
Why don't you ask Alexa? I'm going to try that when I get home tonight. I think it's neither. AI itself doesn't have the notion whether it should be good or bad. It's the people that put it to use. So, you know, we all love Siri, we all love the Alexa, or we hate them, but you know, I've got both, and I use them. I use them for composing text messages when I'm driving, choosing playlists and stuff. But they are used much more widely in industry, and they benefit us all. You know, to actually do things. There's been a new project which has come to light recently, where it's an online AI where you can ask it questions, and it will give you intelligent, informed answers. It will carry out instructions, so you could say, for example, I would like you to write me an Excel macro that will do this, that, and the other, and it's intelligent enough to actually come up with, to write code or dictate letters. You know, it's amazing.
And also, I mean, you'd have seen some of my my stuff on Canva hacks, and there's an AI bot built into Canva now, so you can do whatever in the back end of that. It's interesting, Dave, that we're talking about them being able to do certain things. a lot of people are confused with AI, thinking it's going to take over the world and all that sort of stuff. It's not at the moment. It's not at that stage because it's going to only do one task.
Well, it can do more than a single task now, but we haven't quite hit Terminator yet.
Yeah, that's right.
We're not quite there. So SkyMesh is not really. Don't get Elon's product confused with SkyMesh.
Skynet.
Skynet. Sorry,
Skynet,
I haven't seen it for a few months.
Skynet is not coming, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not for a good few years.
For a good few years. But there are organisations, international organisations like the IEEE, which is the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, who have developed guidelines for companies who are developing IA architectures and products.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that the baddies aren't going to go ahead and do it their way anyway, because they're the baddies.
Yeah, they're the bad guys.
But they'll be using AI for different things. They'll be wanting to hack into AI. They'll want to intercept stuff that's going on with. They won't like eavesdrop on Alexa. So there's a big thing about Alexa and Siri. Is it secure? Am I being listened to? Are the government listening to me?
Probably, but you know what? What are you going to do about it? Right?
Well,
it's everywhere. It's in your phone. It's everywhere.
But that again, that's not the AI that's the problem.
No, it's the people.
That's the malicious actors.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, that's been brilliant today. Thank you so much. Guys, if you've got any questions, type them in the comments and we'll get to Dave and see if he can answer any. But apart from that, we'll be around as always. Give us a call and I really hope that's helped. Thanks so much, Dave.
You're welcome.
Thanks. See you guys.
See you.
That was a good one.